and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Rally Top Sports. I'm Corey, and with me, as always, is Todd Gotcho.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Bobby's still holding it down on Bobby Slay tonight, getting after it in that Warzone tournament. So we're gonna hold it down over on this side on the Rally Top Sports channel. We got a great show for you tonight. Not lying to gain. Football season is over, so I know you're looking forward to a little bit of that. We can still touch on some football if you haven't scratched that itch yet. Don't you worry your little hearts. But tonight we got some big news for you. A couple of really cool things to discuss, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a little bit. But we're going to treat this kind of like a town hall again tonight. Anything that's burning on your mind in the world of sports or whatever. I know there's a lot going on in the world right now. So if you need to use this platform as an opportunity to talk, we'll talk. We're not going to rant or go in any geopolitical conversations. That's not what we're here to do. But if you need to talk, we're here to listen, man. So jump in the chat. Let us know you're hanging out with us tonight. Come on in and say hi. But Todd, I haven't talked to you at least on Zoom or on the Rally Top platform since before the Super Bowl. So I know you had some pet adventures, we'll say,
Yeah,
the other day. But you're back,
yeah,
and here
I'm
we are.
back in action. Before we really get into it, Brian Groff jumping in, said he needed a break from the day. What's up, guys? Brian, great to see you in here. I know for me, it's been shit. It's been almost 2 weeks. Um, I had to miss out on Tuesday. My cat, who is the world's most expensive rescue cat in the history of time, decided that he was going to have some urinary tract issues Tuesday night,
But
and
how? How did he get those, Todd?
because cats sometimes eat their own cat litter, which is full of their own feces and urine. And according to all the things that I saw, that's what happened. So, if so facto, I basically had to make sure that our cat drank enough water to flush everything out of the system.
I feel like that's just like you drink like water or like liquid causes the litter to clump, and I just feel like Tig had a rough day in the litter box the next day.
Right?
Just wasn't fun.
So it was an experience. I'm glad to be past that because fuck that. All right,
Yeah.
so Nate Hale with a comment says MLS is back. So Nate, as you are aware, I am not well versed in the soccer world. Nate is very in tune with all things MLS, anything European soccer.
Love it.
The dude knows is a wealth of information. Is actually just very well rounded in sports in general, which is going to matter when I talk about a thing that's going to be coming up soon. Because Nate, I thought about you for this, so I want you to stick around and listen.
Ooh.
But then Will coming in here with a question for us, Corey. Want to see what you think. He said Combine is coming up. Anyone to watch or sleepers? Now, so Corey and I both made a pact that we weren't going to watch really look at anything draft wise during the playoffs because the Bengals made it all the way fucking through to the Super Bowl. So
All the way
usually,
fucking
usually, Corey and I similarly did not know this, but we're looking at draft stuff usually week 7 or 8. Just getting well versed in who we need to be looking for in the near future, and we didn't have to do that,
Nope.
and it was really nice. So
I'm behind.
So if the combine happens, because there were rumors that the combine might not even happen.
And I think I got a notification from that recently tonight on Twitter. Let me just pull this up. Um, I thought I had seen something about combine announcement. Let's see. Full details on NFL Network and NFL Digital Media on location coverage of the 2022 NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis. So basically, it's just basically just details on the coverage, and it's tweeted out by Rappaport. So what Todd's alluding to is why the combine might not happen, or basically all the guys that are participating in the combine would be required to be in what is a bubble essentially for COVID protocol, which hasn't existed in sports in over a year now, basically since the NBA bubble, the NHL bubble. Um, I think baseball talked about doing it before the 2020 season, or rather, yeah, I think it was the 2021 season or something like
Yeah,
that. So
they discussed a basically keep it to, let's call it 10 parks, and then you do a rotating schedule for X amount of teams within those parks. The players union said absolutely not, you're never doing that. Owners, that's one of the only things the player union, the owners have agreed on in 3 years. Let's not bubble.
But we gotta,
let's not bubble.
Yeah. So basically, they're like, yeah, we're not fucking doing that, and we won't do the combine if you make us do that. So that's what Todd was alluding to. But that being said, to answer your question in the most roundabout way possible, so apologies for that, Will. But I'm pretty interested, and I talked about this on Tuesday when I had my Super Bowl therapy show. So I appreciate whoever tuned in for that one when I was solo on Tuesday night. I will be focusing on quarterbacks, wide receivers, and corners, and I think Todd's going to dive into the trenches and be looking at offensive and defensive line. So just from a very 30,000-foot level, the two quarterbacks that I'm really interested in learning or doing some deeper research on are Desmond Ritter out of the University of Cincinnati and Kenny Pickett out of Pitt. Those are the two that I'm at least at this surface level of what I've seen in their college play. Those are the guys that I'm thinking are the most pro ready. Now I could be proven wrong. It's happened once before, so we'll see if it happens again. And, I'm referring only to Josh Rosen, but I'm really interested in seeing those guys and getting a little bit on the tape on them and in their combine performance or pro day performance, whichever they choose. And on top of that, I did see some chatter out there that if I needed a quarterback and I were to take one guy, and this isn't me saying this, this is an NFL insider, that it's Desmond Ritter. That he is the most NFL ready to start. Now, will he be the best at the end of it all? That has yet to be determined. Look at one of the better classes for that kind of example is the class that had Baker Mayfield, Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen. So Baker Mayfield, obviously the number one overall. Josh Allen shortly after. Excuse me, I think Sam Darnold and then not Josh Allen, but Josh Rosen. Then Josh Allen to the Bills, and then all the way at the very end of the first round, the Baltimore Ravens took Lamar. Apologies if I missed somebody in that one, but as we came out, Baker was the best year one. I think Lamar was really exciting year one too. He didn't really start, and then now that we look at that draft class, who's the best? I think it's a consensus that Josh Allen is the best quarterback out of that draft class. I don't think anyone's really questioning that. So pro ready day one, they're saying Desmond Ritter is the best. Will he be the best out of the class? It's TBD. So I'm not sure anybody that you're particularly interested in looking at in this combine coming up.
Yeah, so I actually have a couple of offensive linemen that I've been following from Senior Bowl, kind of pre-Senior Bowl, to just kind of getting up to date on them. And I wanted to go into some not Power 5 players. So my first one is Cole Strange. He's from the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. It is a real person.
A WWE name. It's a real name.
No, but he is built like the Big Show himself.
Awesome.
He is 6'3", 6'4", 315. Very similar build to like a Quentin Nelson in terms of just sheer muscle.
So Nelson was a force coming out of fucking Notre Dame, man. I mean, he was just hustling people over there.
Yeah, and Cole Strange being in a mid-major in the FCS, if you will, or the FBS, if you will, he was leaps and bounds better than anybody that he was just cover it. It's nuts. I think he's a guy. He played really really well in the Senior Bowl. I actually watched the Senior Bowl, believe it or not. It was very boring, and I only watched it because I was following. It was not a good game. I did not enjoy myself. But I wanted to watch him, and he got lined up against Haskell Garrett. So Haskell Garrett from Ohio State, one of the better linemen coming out of this draft class, top 10 linemen coming out of this draft class. And in the Senior Bowl, they run a lot of stunts and stuff like that to try to basically give people the opportunity to show their shit, right? And Cole Strange put Haskell Garrett on his ass twice. And, you know, that tells me that he is, and that's an NFL ready guard.
Yeah.
If you're taking on Power 5 and handling yourself very well. So that's my first. My second is a gentleman by the name of Bernhard Ryman, I believe. Ryman, something like that. Out of the out of the University of Central Michigan. As Corey and I are both master graduates. This is actually somebody that I project the Bengals to draft in the second or third round, believe it or not.
And he is, I'm sorry, you said a guard?
He's a tackle.
Tackle. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he is a left tackle, or he was a left tackle for Central Michigan. He actually played both positions, right and left tackle. Also played in the Senior Bowl and played very, very well. He's a little bit on the smaller side for a tackle. When I say smaller side, he's 6'5", 340. So it's not like he's tiny by any means, but when you're picking him up against, you know, a guy like Evan Neal and some of these guys coming in these offensive linemen coming into this draft class, he seems small. So great footwork. He was very good as a pass blocker. Did very well at getting upfield. So he's my like I said, he's my second or third round for the Bengals. He's a guy I can see getting into Cincinnati and in the next 2 years making an impact.
Wow, well, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, in terms of second round, I'd like a starter there in the second round. I understand it's at the end of the second round, so it's essentially a third round pick or a high third round pick. So I could understand why it wouldn't be in that position. I'm normally used to picking in the top half of the draft, so I could understand where a second rounder might not be there. It's more of a depth add. But
yes, so for us it's crazy because we, as Bengals fans reviewing the draft, we're looking for guys that can suit up day one and you know be a headline, right? And it's not necessarily that case for the next 2 years, depending on what kind of moves the Bengals make in the offseason. So
a couple of comments to get to here. I appreciate all the activity in the chat. First of all, Nathan is running shit in the chat right now. Nathan, it's good to have you in here tonight, buddy. Let's see, Brian with a comment. He says, so I walked into a Walmart covered in Houday gear today in Tennessee. Guy starts talking smack that we didn't do in the Super Bowl, and I said, "Well, you guys didn't even go." And what fucking balls on this guy? Like, dude, they beat you. Like,
right?
They beat
lost
the Titans, buddy.
Yeah,
not only did you not go to the Super Bowl, you lost to my team, and we're the reason you didn't.
Right?
Just the fucking balls on some people is just absolutely insane. And Nathan coming back saying, "Brian, you're the only 10 I see." He's just sweet talking.
Yeah, Nate's he's a wordsmith in his own right.
All cool people are. I would consider myself one as well. So I appreciated a good punch up, if you will. Corey Ball jumping in the chat. Corey, what's going on, buddy? He's saying, think Bengals just draft best available at 31. So when I think about draft strategy, and this isn't just the Bengals, I think every team should really adopt this. And I talked about this on Tuesday. My philosophy in the off season is that in free agency, you sign for need. You should never draft for need, in my opinion. There's the only time that you're doing that are with three positions. It's a quarterback, a left tackle, or an edge rusher, and those are used at premium picks. And that's just my opinion. The Bengals got lucky last year in that Jamar Chase was the best available and he was also a need. Like the Bengals needed a number one receiver. They didn't have it. T. Higgins is not a number one receiver. He's great. He's not a number one. Tyler Boyd absolutely is not a number one receiver. Also great, just simply not a number one. So Jamar Chase was literally the best. I mean, you would argue the best player in the draft, if not Micah Parsons. Um, and he was also available there at 5. So it's fantastic for them to be able to be in that position and take him there. So I think the Bengals in the offseason should address need. Now at 31, if an offensive lineman is available and they are the best player available there at 31, even if the Bengals are ultra aggressive in signing a lot of quality offensive linemen in this offseason, you continue to build depth at the offensive line. There is not a team in this league, maybe other than like the Colts or the Chiefs, maybe. I don't really know. There's not really many teams in this league that are like, yeah, no, we're perfect at O line. Yeah, we're good. We don't need depth. I mean, look at the Chiefs 2 years ago. They had a good offensive line, and they were just decimated with injuries, and that's why they lost the Super Bowl. So I think to say that even if the Bengals are ultra aggressive and go out and get some real quality, which let's be honest, the bar is pretty low on the interior side of that offensive line, and now even at right tackle with Riley Reef not being under contract, to be determined whether or not they're going to re-sign him. I think, yeah, if at 31 a no lineman is there, you take him if he's the best player. Now, if Sauce Gardner's available at 31.
Yeah, you scoop him up in a heartbreak.
Yeah, we're taking Sauce. We're taking Sauce.
If Sauce drops that far in the draft, there's a hidden agenda in there. Because I mean that dude is one of the best athletes in this draft class. He's
I talked about it on Tuesday. I mean, you don't bullshit your way to 0 touchdowns allowed in a college career. It just doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I mean, and Nathan with a comment saying, responding back to Corey saying that. Awesome name, by the way, Corey. You spell it incorrectly, but it's a great name. And he's saying that the pick is traded. I don't think the Bengals trade it. No. The Bengals rarely trade, especially top round picks. They just rarely do it. I think there was a situation where they were offered. I think it was the Bengals would have had to give They were offered for the number 1 overall pick. I think when they took Akili Smith? Was he the number 1 overall pick? Yeah. So when they had the Akili Smith pick, the Saints offered, I mean, the whole kitchen sink for that pick, and the Bengals turned it down. I forget who exactly the Saints wanted to draft at that time. I can't remember off the top of my head. It wasn't Akili Smith. They wanted somebody, and they were offering everything. I think Ditka was the head coach of the Saints at the time, and they offered everything. And Mike Brown was like, "Nah, it's our pick." And I honestly, like, hindsight's 2020. When you look at like the picks and the players that they could have acquired over that time, like, yeah, hypothetically they could have been really, really good. But at the same time, when you have that pick and you have that opportunity to take the player that you think is your guy and can be an immediate impact to your team, you take it. It's like the saying, like a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. Like that is 100% applicable when you're in the driver's seat with that pick. The board is in front of you. No matter what they're offering you, really, if you can take that impact player, you take that impact player. That's just my personal opinion. Like that's my GM hat. So, no, I appreciate the combine talk, the draft talk. Like this is, boys and girls, this is but the tip of the iceberg. I tell you what, it is. We're gonna get balls deep.
Yeah, it's gonna get real analytical in this bitch.
It's gonna be
real analytical. Yeah.
So what I did last year for the draft, and maybe we'll get a little bit more high budge, but I basically would just I pulled up my screen and let everyone watch me watch YouTube videos, and I would just talk about them. So I might do that again because I think I enjoyed it. And
I was out. I mean, I liked it. I was very interactive at that point in time with that.
Yeah. And this is before Line the Game became a Rally Tile sports show. This was just when I was in my, front room of my house doing it on summer Sunday evenings. But so I don't have a telestrator or anything like that. So I think it'll be fun to watch some film together and kind of go over these prospects and get your guys' perspective on it as well. So yeah, so outside of the NFL, there's obviously a lot going on in the world, but there's a lot going on in the world of sports as well, Todd. I mean, baseball, the MLB is firm in the stance that if there is not a deal reached in 4 days, well, I guess, yeah, 4 days at this
Four
point,
days.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if by Monday there is not a deal, there will be games canceled. They will not be made up. Players will not be paid for those games, and they're very firm on that stance. What's going on in this lockout situation?
So what you're seeing is what they used to call a good old fashioned standoff. So this this is two sides of baseball. One being the Players Association or the Players Union, if you will, and the other side being Major League Baseball and the owners. And the thing that the Players Association is standing firm on is they want revenue sharing. They want to know that. They want that information. They want that information to be shared with the players.
And what Todd means by this information being shared is that the players want a percentage of the revenue that's brought in by the organization. They are generating most of that revenue by being the show that is being watched, and they want a share of that revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the barrier of that is the owners of the MLB are privately held organizations, thus legally do not have to disclose any information in terms of revenues, profits. They owe that information to no one, legally stated.
Right.
By the way that they are set up as a business, and they won't do it. They won't show how much money they're bringing in because it's a lot. That's why it's a lot. The MLB stands to lose a lot of money if they do that.
Right. And look, I think the Reds are the perfect example of this, right?
Oh my God. Yeah.
So one of the things that categorizes this, and a lot of people, their initial reaction to players wanting a bigger piece of the pie is, what's Mike Trout's contract? What's Bryce Harper's contract? Right. Those guys are making a lot of money, and they earn that money from their either presence in the sport itself or their play on the field, or a culmination of both. But for the traditional rookie grinding it through the farm system, making it to the show, who was a 15th round pick, he's not making $400 million over 15 years. He's making $570,000, which is $550,000, which is $200,000 less than the NHL league minimum. So just put that into perspective. The second highest grossing professional sport, being Major League Baseball in the United States, the average player on a similar size roster is making $200,000 less per year for a base contract. Let's call it the veteran minimum, what have you.
Then the fourth highest generating league.
Right. $200,000 less. Over, again, I just want to reiterate, the roster size is identical. In fact, and some standards of hockey, they can carry up to 30 people on a roster. There is an opportunity to do that in hockey. And for whatever reason, Major League Baseball has said, no, we're paying you guys a sufficient amount to provide entertainment to up to 40,000 people, being the average capacity of a stadium last year, roughly. And the players are just pushing back and saying, no, we're worth more. Yeah. Just in terms of just flat inflation since that dollar figure was configured, that's 11% behind where it should be. Approximately 11%. That's where that math ends up. So how can the Castellini family look at Jonathan India, right, for example, and say,
Barry Larkin potentially?
Yeah. So the guy that you're NL Rookie of the Year, multiple time Rookie of the Month, you're at certain points in times of the year, you're your largest impact player, right? And you're going to tell him, hey, sorry, I just can't give you more money because I only have to pay you this dollar amount.
Right.
Meanwhile, the Castellini family is worth several billions of dollars through their produce business, and on top of being the owners of the Reds.
And the Cincinnati Reds.
Right. Right. So
another thing just to add real quick on that point specifically about the Reds and the Castellini family is that while the Reds have been an abysmal excuse for a baseball franchise, they have literally done everything that they can to tarnish the storied legacy of one of the most historic sports franchises in the world, at least in America, rather. And maybe I got a little ballsy there, but the Cincinnati Reds are, and for some of us that are our age, we don't really get that. That's not really, they're like, come on, Corey, seriously? Yeah, seriously. I live in Detroit now, and every time I say I'm from Cincinnati, what the first thing somebody says to me? Oh, Big Red Machine, sick. That's the first thing that they say to me. They understand that back in the day, the Reds were the shit. They
yeah,
were they were like the Yankees kind of, but they were a small market team. They weren't the evil empire. Everybody related them. I digress. The point of this is during this time where they have not performed, they have not won a playoff series since I've been alive. They have not advanced or even sniffed the fall classic. In that time, the Reds have continued and continuously moved up the Fortune 500. They've continuously moved up as an organization that brings in more profit every single year. And
yeah,
it's because of the TV deals. It's because it's, well, let's go down to the ballpark. Ha, ha, ha. They're going to charge you fucking $12 for a beer. They're going to charge you $7 for a hot dog, and you're going to pay it because it's what we do. We go to Reds games, and the TV company's like, oh, they're still going to watch, and you will, and they just rake in the money, and they don't care about winning.
yeah,
They just don't.
yeah. And Nate said this, and that's where I was going to kind of add on to this is the Cincinnati Reds are one of the biggest pro lockout franchises through all of this. The Castellini family is saying absolutely, we don't need you guys. We don't need the season, right?
Yep.
We don't need players demanding more money to make this work. We can delay. We don't have to pay, right? That's what baseball's saying. The Castellini family is only saying, hey, guess what? I'm not going to pay these guys, so that's not money out of my checkbook. But guess what? What free agent, what any remotely intelligent free agent is going to want to sign with a team that is pro lockout?
Yeah.
Right.
And the players know. The players know who's pushing
absolutely.
this agenda. Absolutely, they do. Their agents have ears close to the front offices of these organizations.
Yeah, and if you're, I don't know, it's just a guy that I'm gonna. I've thrown out. Yeah. So I'll throw out a free agent that has caught a lot of attention in Cincinnati, and it's just based on regionality, and it's because Tom Brenneman loved him. It's Kyle Schwarber, right? So Kyle Schwarber's a free agent. The Reds are going to need somebody to play one of the corner outfield positions or DH now because that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And guess who grew up 35 minutes north of Great American Ballpark?
Middletown, Ohio.
He's from, yeah. Oh, it's Kyle Schwarber from Middletown. He's from Middletown.
Do you know he's from Middletown?
So if I'm Kyle Schwarber, and that he has said multiple times, is he wants to play in Cincinnati. Right. That's a thing that he wants to do. He wants to play in front of his family in Great American Ballpark in a Reds uniform. That's what he grew up watching. That's what he wants to do. If I'm Kyle Schwarber, I'm thinking twice about that statement, right? Because if I'm coming to the table and say, hey, I'm now that the DH is a full-time position in both leagues, I want 5 years. And I want 10 million a year because I'm worth that because I'm going to hit 35 home runs. I'm going to knock in 115. And if you need somebody to platoon at first base or right field, or God forbid, an emergency catcher, I can do that. Right. And it changes that. Right. And if you're a player, you're okay with the DH rule because it does mean a little bit more money. Right. The DH position becomes significantly more valuable in baseball. Because you're going to need somebody to consist in 150 games, let's call it. You want somebody for 150 games to be a staple in your lineup and be able to hit left-handed and right-handed pitching. And there's a lot of guys at second, first base that can do that, right? Like, that's just the world we live in. Or if you're a team like, I don't know, the Seattle Mariners, and you have 5 of the top 25 hitting prospects in baseball sitting in AA and AAA,
they got TT, don't they?
Yeah. Yep. So Taylor Trammell, They have Jared Kelenic, who kind of floundered in his major league debut, and then they have Julio Rodriguez, three of the top outfield prospects in the American League now. And this DH position becomes way more valuable because even when you're playing in an interleague series, you need that person out there, right? So my point being that if you are somebody who is stuck to the DH position, that contract looks a lot different for you now than it did about 7 months ago when you were thinking about how you were going to make a 1-year deal and try to earn your keep. Now you're worth at least 3 years because you're not really putting much wear and tear on your body besides being a workhorse at the plate. So yeah, it's baseball's in a point where it's going to start losing some of the young viewership, and you start losing some of that viewership.
I think that's already started, to be fair.
Yeah, it's escalating, right? That's kind of my point, is that it's escalating this proponent that baseball is not for the people anymore, which was always what it was. It was America's sport. It's for anybody who wanted
common man, was the expression back then. Obviously, it's not just limited to men. That's all I'm trying to say. But that was the phrase, and that's what I mean by that. Is it was and it really was a thing that you could do. It was an affordable family activity as well.
Right.
It really hasn't. It's not that any longer, and that stems from, I think, the organizational greed at the top. And there was this, and I'm not hearing it as much this time around. Maybe you are, but back in COVID, when there was the discussion about how players are going to be compensated for the shortened season, there was this discussion about profit sharing as well at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I heard a lot of just shut up and play. You're getting paid a lot of money, just shut up and play. Like, come on. Like, we want baseball. We need baseball. Like, this is a time when a lot of sports were being canceled or postponed, or, we were in the doldrums after March Madness, and there wasn't, obviously no football. It's like, God, we need baseball. Please play. Just, who cares about the money kind of thing? You're already made a millionaire. Don't worry about it. I'm not hearing that as much this time, and from the fan bases, and I'm glad, because my perspective on sports in general is I will always side with the millionaires more than I will side with the billionaires. That's just how it is. And a lot of this, and the reason for that is because it's a lot of these owners aren't like, we pulled up by the bootstraps and we're in here to build this organization to a powerhouse. Like, these guys are in this for one thing, two things only: the money and the clout. That's why they do it, because they're one of 30 that own a baseball team, and they are going to make money. If you lose money owning any sports franchise, I don't care what it is, any sports franchise, if you lose money doing it, you are a fucking idiot.
You have to not understand general business to lose money in a professional and the professional sports world.
It doesn't matter what league. I'm telling you, unless it's like a startup league where you have a lot of overhead and you need it to catch on, like the USFL or the XFL or something like that. I'm talking about an established league: MLB, NBA, NHL, NFL. If you buy a team and when you sell it, it's worth less, you are a dog shit business person and should never go into business again.
That's correct.
That's just the way it is. I'm interested in everybody else's perspective in terms of what they're looking at in the lockout. Are they on the owner's side? Do you think just shut up and play? I'm really curious if that's how you feel about it. And if so, I'd love to hear why.
Yeah.
Why that's the way that you think about that.
I agree with you, Corey. I have not heard a lot as much of the players just need to just suck it up and figure out what they need to do to get on the field for the people. Because that was the proponent during COVID, was like, you're hurting the fan base.
Right.
But now I think the people that are following this, and I think a lot of people kind of follow a similar mindset to you, Corey, in that I'm going to side with the millionaire in the circumstance, the player, over the owner, because the player is the one that's providing the entertainment. The owner is just sitting in the box, like Mr. Krabs, just sitting on a pile of money, right? They're They don't. A lot of people don't see them as real people, right? Because
money.
because the Castellini family doesn't really put a face to the franchise,
No,
right? They
no.
don't.
They're
They're
like, I think last year there was like one video of Bob Castellini being in a press box where they had like, there's like something going on. I forget what it was. Oh, it was the playoff push, is what it was, and um, Castellini was up in the box, and they were. I don't know. There was some comment about Nick Castellanos making a bunch of money. He's like, it ain't gonna be us, or so he made some fucking
yep.
dickhead comment about that. I wonder who's gonna pay him or something. It was some shit like that. Yeah, I mean they're not um, uh, city facing like fan facing organization. They're not in terms of that front or at least that ownership group. They're not even like the Browns and Blackburns are more fan forward than the Castellinis, and I mean it is what it is at this point. I've already told multiple people that have asked me like, are you gonna? I normally go to opening day every year. They asked me, are you, whenever it is, are you gonna go? I said no, I don't. I don't actually plan on attending a single game at Great American Ballpark this year unless that front office can demonstrate that they're going to do things that they care about this team and the city
Yep.
because all they've done is show me the exact opposite. They had a lot of opportunities to get better. They had a lot of opportunities to keep good talent. They had a lot of good opportunities to keep good coaching, and they did none of that. They've gutted the front office. They've gutted the pitching staff. They've gutted the hitting coaches. They've gutted the core talent that the free agent acquisitions that they've made over the last 2 years. They let them just fucking walk away. And if that's your play, if that's your push, if that's the best you got as a front office for your push to go win it all, sell the team. You don't have what it takes. That won't do it. I'm sorry. You're gonna trout in there with no bullpen every year.
Right.
No bullpen. What do you think wins a World Series? It's the fucking bullpen.
Right. That's how Atlanta beat Houston and game in the latter part of the series.
Without their ace, mind you.
Right. Right. Yeah. I'm with you, man. I think that
fucking fires me up, dude. It pisses me off.
I think that if you understand baseball past Major League Baseball, right? Past that brand, and then you trickle down into let's go low A ball, right? The average player in low A ball is making $16 an hour. That is their hourly rate of being a professional baseball player, unless you are a round 1 through 5 pick. Everything else below that, that's a round up. Some of these guys are making $13, $14 an hour on international contracts. Those guys don't get to play either, right? So the people that are essentially playing for pennies on the dollar are they're going to have to they're doing other things to meet income. I've seen a lot of advertisements for a lot of pitching clinics for guys from Cincinnati that are doing pitching clinics and indoor facilities around the area because they have to earn a paycheck somehow because they're not getting the baseball paycheck and they're preparing themselves for that, right? So it's a shame. I feel bad for baseball. I think that's the best way I can put it because we saw how long it took. It took 3 years from the lockout from '94 for baseball to get back on its feet, and that took steroids to get there. Right? It's not like it was organic. It was steroids. Steroids got baseball back. So it's gonna take a miracle for baseball to be back. That's how I feel.
Yeah, and Corey with a comment, he's kind of feeling the same way I feel is that he has a 20-game season pack. So 20 games that he can go to, and which the Master is about a quarter of the home games, I think. And he's saying if they don't start on time, he's not going to go.
I think that's fair. Because it's a testament to what Major League Baseball is doing to the player, which in turn impacts the fan base.
Yeah, it's sad, and I really, really hope that they can figure this out over the weekend. Will jumping in the chat. Will saying, I'm a fan of the numbers, but too lazy to find them. Interested what average MLB player makes if you include all minor league time as well. That's the perspective that I'm looking for, and it may be readily available for the non-lazy. So yeah, Todd was just indicating that the a rookie contract, or rather the league minimum, if you're in the majors, is about $500,000, a little bit north of that. Whereas in a double or a single A player is making somewhere around 15, 16 bucks an hour, essentially. I think it comes out to about $35,000 or something like
Yeah.
that, based on game checks.
And for some people, so for there was a player, they shared a contract of a player in Oakland's farm system, and he was in low A ball, and he made $22,000. A professional athlete made $22,000, and
insane.
And also, Oakland is the one that was basically feeding their players on road trips cat food. I mean, it wasn't legit. It wasn't edible food that they're giving to their players. So
and that thing, I don't put that on the single A team, the double A team, the triple A team. I put that on the major league team. That's your affiliate. That's your affiliate. That is your organization. Those are your players.
Well,
you are responsible for taking care of them.
Yeah, the funding for that. Yeah, the funding for that comes from Oakland, right? Your minor league funding. Yeah, there's ad revenue and shit like that, but really a good, like, for example, in Columbus, the Clippers have a stadium that was built in 2010. It's brand new. It's gorgeous, and they went from being the Yankees AAA affiliate to now they're the Cleveland Indians AAA affiliate. The first thing they did when Cleveland took over as a AAA affiliate, they built them a brand new stadium because they understand the importance of that fan base, right? And Huntington Park pretty much sells out every home game because their tickets are $13 and you can sit 10 rows back of home plate.
Dollar dog night, baby.
Yeah. I mean, it's
and like the minor, like some of these really high quality, like I think of the Toledo Mud Hens, and even lower than that, not even just AAA. I think of like the Dayton Dragons. I can think of organizations that do it well. They're doing like concerts and all the Florence Y'alls. They're doing, like, they had like Foreigner like 5 years ago. I was playing there. Like they're making it more that it's an event. It's not we're going there to see if they win. We're going there to hang out in the sunshine, drink a couple pops, eat a couple dogs, listen to Cold as Ice, and watch a Foreigner run out of breath on stage. Like that's what we're there to do, hang out. and it's a cheap day for family fun. And some of them are able to do it well because they're well funded, but there are some of these that are in God's country that don't have a dime, and they didn't have two to rub together basically, and it's tough going. It's tough going. But Will was saying that. Will was saying he was looking for the lifetime person average. So, like, per person, what's the lifetime average?
Ooh.
And that's interesting. So you got a lot of outliers, right? Like you get your A-Rod and your Trout and your Jeter and your Scherzer, and you've got all these Kershaw and like all these massive contracts out there. But I would be interested to see that versus the guys that like blip. You know what I mean? Like they're in the minors for like 4 months and they accrued like $6,000. Like I would be really interested to see what those averages pan out. I think Todd's looking up the data right now for us. But
yeah.
So while you're doing that, Todd, Will, if you're still with us, my man, I am pretty sure that this is the same Will Reynolds that did Super Bowl squares. Will, I've never had the pleasure of meeting you. But if this is the same Will that did Super Bowl squares, we have a big shout out to you. So let's give a round of applause for Will. Will was our top contributor for Super Bowl squares. Will, you helped us raise money for St. Jude's. We really appreciate that. You are our top donor. So we have a tradition here at Rally Tal, is that our top donor gets the honor of selecting the next charity. So whenever we do our next gambling charity event, I think it may end up being March Madness. I think that's the next thing that's going to come on. We might also do like a Masters pool, but Will, whatever it is, we want to know what charity it should go towards. You have the honor of picking, um, and can't wait to see what it is. Can't wait to see what we get to who we get to help out next. We had a fundraising goal for this year, 2022, of $1,500, and so far we're at 410. $410 we're donating to St. Jude on behalf of Rally Towel Sports family, and we really appreciate everybody for helping us do that. It's fucking awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we also have some more updates. We're not gonna drop the big news just yet, but we do have some kind of updates as to what you can expect for the rest of 2022 out of Rally Towel Sports. We're gonna be kind of shaking things up a bit in terms of schedule. So you're used to seeing us twice a week, maybe sometimes even once a week. I think that's kind of been the general schedule.
Mhm.
Tell the people what they're gonna get. Go ahead, just give them a little taste.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see these two faces sometimes, not all the time, just sometimes, up to 4 nights a week.
Word?
So I know you're all wondering, well, Todd, how can you do what you're doing right now 4 times a week? Well, that's a great question. Thank you so much for asking.
Thank you for asking.
The answer to that question is we are going to be creating, or we have created, and we'll be starting consistently providing Line to Gain, our football podcast, Ring 'em Up, the baseball podcast, and then In the Paint, which will be our basketball podcast. So the basketball podcast is one that we have not done yet. That will be coming very, very soon. And that's going to cover very similar to for Line to Gain and Ring 'em Up and the initial Rally Towel Sports podcasts. We're going to be doing a lot of similar things that we for In the Paint. And we're going to be covering small market franchises. And for those of you that know me, you know that means the Indiana Pacers because I'm a big Pacers fan. Been following the Pacers my whole life, thanks to Nick and him being a diehard Reggie Miller fan in his teen and adult years. We're also going to be covering the Utah Jazz.
Blue collar gold swagger, I believe.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, so we're going to be covering the Jazz. We're going to be covering the Phoenix Suns, a team that is arguably has one of the top talents in basketball in Devin Booker, and nobody talks about Phoenix, right? I mean, there's not a lot of conversation about the Suns. It's all about the Nets and the Sixers and LeBron and the Celtics.
Is Anthony Davis hurt again?
So we want to provide. Yes, he is hurt. And Kemba Walker's not playing anymore in New York, and we just don't know why. He may or may not be hurt. Stay tuned. But what we want to do is we want to provide content for you guys about franchises that nobody really talks about. And we're also going to cover college basketball. And when I say that,
one franchise, one of the most exciting young teams in the Eastern Conference that honestly is better off without number 23 right now, at least. The Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, they are currently the 4 seed in the Eastern Conference, one of the most exciting teams. And I am not that's like vinegar coming out of my mouth right now, talking good about Cleveland sports, but credit due where it's due. And I mean, the Cavaliers are an exciting team right now. They're just a giant roster of humans. They're just tall as fuck across the board, and they're winning. And so we're also going to be talking about the Cavs. So you got 2 small market Eastern Conference teams, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Indiana Pacers, and then the Utah Jazz and the Phoenix Suns. And honestly, the great thing about this, because there's a lot of great talent in the NBA, and the game is very dynamic, and the league is growing very fast. And from the flip side of baseball, in my opinion, I think the NBA does a really good job of marketing a lot of their stars. I think they have a problem of having too many, and it's hard to market all of them effectively. Whereas, you've got your Devin Booker and you've got your Donovan Mitchell and probably one of the best defensive players in basketball right now, Rudy Gobert. And no one talks about Rudy Gobert ever.
Yeah.
He's consistently top 2 defensive player of the year in votes every season. The Stifle Tower is, and Ja Morant. I mean, yeah, you see stuff on Twitter about Ja Morant, but that's pretty much it. And I think he is probably one of the more exciting players in the league. And so we just want to shed some light on these markets that nobody talks about, similar to Line of Game, like Ty was saying. But I digress, and I will pass it back over to Utah.
So, and I think this is a great segue to what we need to, what really the big news that we want to share with all of you, right?
Well, not only so we got Ring 'em Up, we got Line to Game, we got In the Post, but Town Hall Tuesday staying with you too, ladies and gentlemen.
That's true.
We're gonna keep that going. We love your generated content as a big part about Rally Towel, as we want and need, really. I mean, fuck, we're not that smart, and we need your contributions as well. This is just as much your show and your channel as it is ours. We're just the idiots that get up here and ramble for 4 hours a week. But yeah, go ahead, Todd.
So it's really exciting to be able to share with you guys that we're actively looking for more members of the Rally Towel Sports podcast group, right? So Corey and Bobby and I we recognize, just based off of having, Corey and I have, a wife and children, and they, they deserve the opportunity to spend time with us. And we realize that committing as much time as 4 to 5 nights of podcasting a week, that just doesn't, with a full-time job, that it just doesn't add up, right? We don't have there's not enough time in the day to be a good husband, a good dad, and then being what we promised you guys, and being factual and data driven,
and the best podcast you've ever fucking watched.
we want to continue to do that, and we realize as a group that we need bodies, right? We need people, and I say bodies in the sense that we need people that are not like Corey and I, because there can't be more people that just want to talk shit for 2 hours at a time. That's too much. We already take up too much of your guys' time. We need somebody or people or some people to come in and balance us out. And what I mean by that is we need the sports fan that understands, and it doesn't have to be all 3 sports that we cover, that understands a sport at a dynamic level and can shed light on topics that everybody knows but doesn't quite fully comprehend or understand, right? So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for, number one, someone who just wants to have fun and drink beers with us and, shoot the shit and spend a couple hours talking about God knows what. We spent 45 minutes, Corey and I spent 45 minutes on a podcast talking about Delta. I mean, that's just where we're at in the world, right?
Delta Airlines, like a fucking nightmare.
So the reason that we want to, we're telling you guys this on the podcast, because we want you to hear it, from our mouth first. But I'm going to be posting on the Rally Towel Sports page, and then of course the 3 of us will share on our personal page what we're calling a wanted ad for podcast members. And what that's going to look like for you guys is we're gonna bring you on here with us, and we're gonna do the podcast, right? We're gonna have
treeouts.
So what better way to know if you're fit to do a podcast with 2 real handsome, good-looking guys who like to talk shit, and then the perfect moderator that is Bobby, than
who's
to
also
just jump.
Handsome, by the way.
He's very handsome, and he's great at video games. And if once we get done, you should go over to his gaming page and support him as well. But we need somebody else on here that we can talk sports with, and somebody that's going to continue to bring the content that we promised you guys. And I'm super excited. This means growth. This means expansion. This means more opportunities to get in front of you guys and do the thing that we all love the most about this, and it's spending time with you.
Yeah, and just to kind of piggyback on that is, what we're really looking for are people that it's okay to be a goofball like us. So, that's not what we're saying. We also want people that are going to challenge our opinions as well. This Rally Tile Sports does not need to be an echo chamber. I don't need people to constantly agree with me. In fact, I welcome the opposite. Somebody that constantly seeks out alternative perspectives. You know, when the Bengals played the Titans, I was balls deep in Titans Twitter. I wanted to see what they were talking about. When we played the Chiefs, same deal. I was all in trying to understand what the Chiefs fans were thinking about for that game. And when we played the Rams don't really have any fans, so that was really tough. But I was really trying to find that perspective. But I would really want to just get some people in here that think a little bit differently than us, that see things differently, or rather are hearing other things that we can talk about. And the same. And another thing is, we want to be able to generate consistent content. We want to be an option because we understand Tuesdays and Thursdays for a live show that probably doesn't work for everybody. Everybody can't tune in on a Tuesday or Thursday. That works for us to do the show, but people have shit going on that they can't tune this in. So we want to be available on Monday nights. We want to be available on Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, and Thursday nights, and allow people to come in and hang out with Rally Town Sports. And we need more people like us that are ready to have some fun and talk about sports, and even further from that, a more macro level, help us grow this brand.
Yep.
We are proud of what we've been able to do in this short, like 6 months, 7 months together, of growing this family. Close to 300 people on Facebook and close to 150 people on Twitter. Like that's cool, but I think we can continue to use that as a launching pad by adding more perspective and more reach from like-minded people. And I'm really excited to see who's interested and who wants to be a part of that as well. Help us grow this brand, help us create new merchandise and new content and everything that goes along with that. And most importantly, continue to have fun and raise money for charity. That's
Yep.
That is a staple of us, and we don't plan on changing that anytime soon.
Yeah. So just for you guys, for you to understand, in the time that we have, Line to Gain and Rally Tile Sports, and we've kind of built this conglomeration, we've raised close to $900, right?
Yeah, I mean, so Line to Gain, if you include everything, Line to Gain plus Rally Towel, it's over $1,200 for charity. So it was over $800 when it was Line to Gain. We did an Epilepsy Foundation fundraiser was the first one, and that was over a $400 bill to the Epilepsy Foundation. That one was really exciting. We did the Wounded Warrior Project was another one that we were able to raise money for. The Covenant House of Michigan, which helps displaced youth within, the Detroit area, setting them up for success. And then obviously St. Jude, which helps families that have children that are with terminal illnesses. And I don't know a better cause than that. And so it's been extremely rewarding to be a part of that. And it's something that it's a cornerstone of Rally Towel. And if we can do some gambling alongside of it, what else do you want?
Yeah, look, I think Corey said it right, but I think the thing I want to add is that for us, this isn't, of course, this is the thing that we want to do as a full-time job, right? I mean, we've been pretty clear on that from the jump, that this is a hobby and a passion that we want to turn into a career. But more importantly for us, this isn't about financial gain. This is about doing what we love, and then getting the opportunity to get you guys involved, to pick the charity that we're going to do or that we're going to donate to, and then give back to the community that deserves it, right? And that's the thing that, this platform for us, it provides us the chance to do that. And that's the part that I love the most about doing this podcast, is that we get people that, we haven't talked to in years. I mean, truth be told, before Line to Gain and Rally Tile Sports came together, Bobby and Corey and I had spoken in a decade, right? Yeah. So it's a great opportunity to it was a great chance to rebuild the relationship. And the cool thing about doing this and being a part of this is that it's fun, and you get to build relationships with people that thought you forgot about, or they forgot about you, and then they just pop in and you're doing, it's incredible.
Well, and even cooler than that is meeting people through this that I've
Yeah,
never met before ever in real life. Like I've never met Bruce, and Bruce, who is I met through Bobby, obviously. He has his gaming channel, and Bobby met him through that, and he started coming in and jumping in the Rally Town Sports shows, and he's just a phenomenal guy and really really nice and cool to talk with, and everybody that our community has been able to touch. It's just cool for everybody to come in and hang out here, and it's been awesome. So
yeah,
um, I'm really excited to see who's interested, and I know we got a couple of people that we've kind of talked to on our own on the side, and I'm excited to see with this message that we're putting out now who else, because we're not just looking for one person. Obviously, we're I wouldn't even necessarily put a limit on it at this point. I'm open to take people that are a good fit, and that's the most important part for me is that people that are a good fit that want to grow this brand specifically with us, and that doesn't have to just be one person. So
yep,
I'm excited to see who it is.
yeah. So reach out to either, you can reach out to the page directly or reach out to one of us.
We'll
And
also put our email address. We do have a Gmail account, and we'll put that on the flyer as well, or on the help wanted ad,
yeah,
the classified. We have a Gmail. I think it's like rallytowsports09@gmail.com.
mhm.
Because we are all graduates of class of 2009. Last class to make
And
you say, "Oh."
also rallytowsports@gmail.com was already taken. So
Bullshit.
it's absolute bullshit. There's no Rally Towel Sports besides this one, and everyone knows it.
The one true king. Oh well, I think that was kind of we're going over an hour here, and we wanted to commit to that for tonight, and we Todd and I could probably just sit here and ramble for the rest of the evening if we wanted to, but we're not going to do that. But we are planning on getting a schedule together. I want to say that the content may be a little bit spread out over the next couple of weeks while we get that together.
Mhm.
But as we're vetting out, new potential hosts, we'll be doing shows, and I'd say by the end of it, we'll make announcements as who's going to be joining us, and it should be a lot of fun. We'll make a party out of it, but in the paint should be coming soon. We're going to get it out there. We'll have a launch party, and it'll be great. Maybe we'll do kind of like we did for Thursday night football. We'll do like a Wednesday or Thursday night basketball and watch a game together. So that should be a lot of fun.
Yep. Yep. I love it. I love it. Super stoked.
All right, guys. Well, that is it for us tonight. We really appreciate everybody hanging out. Keep your eye on the Rally Town Sports page on Facebook and on Twitter, and we will go ahead and post all the details about what we are looking for if you're interested in joining the Rally Town Sports podcast group. For Todd, I'm Corey. Love you guys. See you next time. Peace.